Stay away from the speaker. Get back to the mouse.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Welcome. And to all you players who made our teams this season, congratulations. We're looking forward to another good season. Um, I'm sure most of you know that our first practice will be on Monday. And some of this information I'm going to give you is going to be more helpful for the new people. So our practices will begin on Monday, and because Brian is going to coach the JV and the varsity team this season, the structure of our practices and our times are going to be a little bit different. This season, we're going to have middle school and JV practicing at the same time from 5 to 7. So middle school will be on that court over here and JV on this court from 5 to 7, and then varsity will be from 7 to 9. I think of the season start as now after we have tryouts and practices start, but a lot of people think of that when game season comes, but that's the beginning of the season. So around early August, our games will begin. We're working on the game schedule. Pamela schedules the games, and that's probably the toughest job in the program. She has it about 80% complete. Once we get team snap going in a few days, she'll put everything in there that's already scheduled. So we'll practice 2 times a week on Monday and Thursday from June, starting Monday till early August. Then the games.
We can't hear. This is the parents, Lincoln players.
Yeah, y'all come on into the meeting, please.
So, yeah, we need to pay attention.
So once we get to August, we'll begin the games and tournaments. You'll see on the handout that I gave you, we have a tournament in mid-August. That'll be our first tournament. That's really a preseason tournament at Raleigh Christian. So once we get to August, what we strive for in scheduling is no more than 3 events per week, because we know it gets chaotic during volleyball season. We can't always achieve that. It's just difficult. So sometimes we might have a practice and 3 games, or a practice and a game and a 2-day tournament. But if we're going to play 2 games in a week, we would usually have this one practice so that we can make the week as manageable as we can. So Pamela's going to handle team snap, and she's going to say a few things about that now to try to facilitate getting that up and running. Once you get, she's going to explain what you need to look for as far as getting an email from her and how we're going to use team snap.
Okay, not much to say at all team snaps. It is an email. You'll receive an email. I'll put that all in there. Hopefully I'll work on it as soon as tomorrow. So just be watching your email. If you do not get an email, I can make sure you have my phone number. And you don't feel free to text, call me, anything. Reach out to Lewis. His email or his phone number is everywhere, so he can get you in contact with me if you haven't received an email by the time you think you should have. Like I said, it takes a while because it's a lot of information to put in. Hopefully by Sunday evening, everyone will have received it. If you're still in that, well, we're not using the off-season chat. So I'll get Lewis to send an email that all team snap messages have been sent. If you have not gotten it by the time you receive that email, then just reach out to us and let us know that you didn't get it, so we can make sure that you're in team snap. It'll have our full schedule in there, practices, games, tournaments, everything. All contacts for coaches will be in there. All contacts for all the players will be in there. The girls, a lot of times, especially for the younger groups, they like to go in there and edit their profiles, add a little picture, make it fun. That's totally up to you. You can add as many contacts and family members as you want in Team Snap, so that your husband, your wife, whoever originally gets the first email, your spouse can be in there. Your grandma, your child's grandma can be in there if you want it. So it's totally up to you. We will chat a lot in these messages. So if there's anything team related, please make sure. It's very important. Get the Team Snap app. If you can always sign in on a desktop if you don't do apps on your phone or don't want this app on your phone. And make sure your notifications are on, especially when we're at tournaments. It is a big deal. We will message, hey, get the girls on this court by X time. It will be important. You will miss out if you are not in this app and if you're not paying attention with your notifications on. So it gets frustrating sometimes, I know. I'll try to make sure. I might make a mistake, but when I put it in the game schedule, I'll make sure that I click do not notify team, because you might get 50 email or 50 messages at that point. But just make sure that once you get the app, you have your notifications on.
By the way, for the new people, this is my wife Pamela, and she also handles payments and many other things, so if you wanna make a payment, now you know who you should see. Um. As far as payments, we'll take cash or check written out to JCHE, which is Johnston County Homeschool Educators. When the Jaguars started in 2007, it was within the Johnston County Homeschool Educators Group, which was really a thriving group that did a lot of different things. And now all that's left really is Jaguars volleyball, and that's our nonprofit. So checks that can be written out to JCHE, you can pay with cash, and then there is an online payment option as well that you will get charged a fee to use. There are a lot of things that we have to do to make this program run, and we, year by year, we really need to create a stronger organization, and, the group has grown, and we're trying to manage a lot of different things, but we always need volunteers. There are certain jobs that everybody really needs to participate in. And then there are other jobs that we really need to hand off to somebody and let them handle it. None of us are, because we're a nonprofit, we're not here to make any money. We're here to serve our kids and serve each other. Even our coaches, the amount of money that they get is really, it probably doesn't cover their expenses. They're truly volunteers. I'm a volunteer. I don't get paid for what I do here, and I don't want to be paid. I'm doing this to serve the group and serve my kids, and this is it's been a very meaningful group and experience for our family. But we can't do it alone, and we always need volunteers to do certain things. So we'll be looking for volunteers. One of the things that everybody needs to participate in is working the games. Our players don't work all the games like you might see in a travel ball league or in school ball. Our players might do more of that. In certain tournaments, the players might work the table and do the line judge job and that kind of thing. But parents have to help with the game responsibilities. We will provide training for that, but we always need a scorekeeper, a libero tracker, a line judge, things like that at every game. So we really need everybody to participate. We understand some people have small kids. Sometimes only one parent is here and not the other, and they have small kids. We don't expect everybody to do the same job, but we really need everybody to participate to make the group run the way we need it to run. And then for other big tasks, I may come to you and say, what are your skills? Could you volunteer to do this? A couple of those things that we will need help with. We'll need somebody to handle the sponsorship program that we'll talk about here soon. We have a sponsorship program so that you can cover your player fees and lodging and that kind of thing. We need someone to take charge of that and collect the sponsorship payments and that kind of thing. We're gonna have a year-end awards banquet. We need one person or multiple people pitch in and try to organize the food, set up for the banquet, all these types of things. Everybody who's been here for a year or two knows the different things it takes for this group to run, but I just want to highlight the idea that we're all volunteers and we all have to work together as homeschool families to make this a reality for our kids, because this is a very meaningful experience for them. Another thing we'll need a volunteer for, if you have the ability and the skill, is we always take team pictures. We need to set a date for that, figure out how it can work with our game schedule and everything else. And if you have a camera and the ability to do well with team photos, that's something we definitely need someone to volunteer with, and we can coordinate and work out all the details. Let's talk about the conference. We've been out of the NCHE homeschool conference for the most part for several years. I won't bore you with a long story, but in North Carolina, there are a lot of homeschool volleyball teams. The conference used to have a lot of teams, and it kind of dwindled down. And we see at this point, even though we've been out of the conference for a while, we see a lot of value in going back in the conference. And there are a few other programs that we really like to compete with that I know are going back in the conference this year. So we're going to go back in the North Carolina Homeschool Educators Conference, be a homeschool team in that conference. And that comes with some rules, and we're gonna have to send some information out about this and make sure that all of you are compliant to have with the homeschool guidelines for the NCHE conference. When we've done it before, we've never had an issue, but there are some specific guidelines or specific criteria that we have to follow and know that you're in compliance with, and know that we can be in this homeschool conference. For example, if you don't issue your kid a transcript, or if they're in the public school online, just because they're home, that doesn't make them homeschool. So there's certain criteria that we have to follow to be in the conference, and we'll send you all that information so you know what the criteria is. And that one is kind of a hot item in a way. We have to do a pre-registration really soon. And then in August, we have to do a final registration. And if you're not compliant with the guidelines for the homeschool conference, when I send them out to you, we really need to know right away if there's any issue. Because we really, all of you have been accepted into the program and we want you all here. And, if there's an issue, we want to try to work through it or maybe even rethink going back into the conference. So let's take a close look at those guidelines. Um, Another important thing that we have to talk about tonight is the guidelines of Fellowship Baptist Church. So this is our practice facility. Our home games are played at Harrison Gym in Selma. All of our practices are held here, and this has been a great facility for us. I think it's a great location. But the person I was dealing here with the church who was on their staff, he stepped down. And then I had a meeting with the pastor of the church and the associate pastor, and they've now sent me a contract. We had to get on the same page about the guidelines they want us to follow in order to use their gyms. So this is a church, and they're gracious enough to let us use their gym, and they want us to align with the mission of their church as much as we can and comply with the contract they sent us. And that means a few things. The first main thing that means is that for them is that all children need to be supervised when they're on this property at all times. One of the guidelines in the contract is that the classrooms and the stairwells. All of you who've been here for some time, you know there are stairwells at the end of each hall, and sometimes our players and younger kids have been upstairs, and they've been in these rooms, and we've even probably damaged a few things. I'm sure we're not the only ones who've ever used the facility that have done that. But one of the firm guidelines is that no kids are to be in any of the classrooms or the stairwells or upstairs. And no kids are to be anywhere outside this gym without parental supervision. The church has strict rules about this. I know all of you who go to church, you probably have some guidelines in your church because of the day and time that we live in that you have to follow, and fellowship is taking these things very seriously. When I met with the pastor and the associate pastor, I had to meet with them twice to try to work through things, and the meetings went really well. They were gracious. I respect their position on these things. And I'm grateful that they're letting us use the facility. But I have to admit, I was a little bit anxious because we really need this facility. We need to practice here. If we were to lose this facility this year, it would really create problems for us. We've been at this for a while, and finding gyms in Johnston County is not easy. We could pivot and do something different next year if we had to, but the rate they're giving us here is still good, even though it went up some. And the location is great. The ability for us to be here is very important. So this idea about parental supervision and making sure our kids are not going in restricted areas is very important. If we can't comply with this particular guideline, what it's going to result in is we'll probably have to close the practices. And the only people who will be here will be coaches and players. So we need to take this very seriously. And I'll send some of this out in writing. I know all of our people are not here tonight either. The other issue, which is maybe more of a rub for some of you, at least our daughters, is the dress code. So when we first started practicing here, the dress code was stricter, and we've kind of slipped with it, and they let us slip a little bit. But in the meetings I had with the pastor, they stressed the importance of our girls being as modest as they can be to be more in compliance with the mission of the church. And again, this is a sticky topic, and if we polled 5 people or 10 people on what modesty is, I know we probably get 5 or 10 different answers. But the reality is, this is not our property. This is the property of Fellowship Baptist Church. I mean, I respect that they do care about modesty, and they want us to have a certain appearance when we're here on their property. And as long as we're going to be here, we have to respect that. So let me say that what they wanted from us ideally was a very long short. They didn't give us a length, but I'm confident that the length of shorts that they want to see is not something that most of our players want to do. So what I proposed to Fellowship was that some, partly something we had done in the past when we were here because they required us to, and that is that all of our players will wear cover pants coming in and out of the gym. And then when we're in the gym, what I proposed to them was the guideline that we will also have to follow in our games to be compliant in the NCHE conference. And that's the same guideline we've had for games for years now. Those are 5-inch inseam loose fitting shorts and no tight spandex. So those are the terms that we've agreed to with fellowship. And again, the shorts requirement that we have to comply with in this gym, it's the same thing we have to do for games. But it's a little bit more serious in a way here at this facility because we really want to keep this facility. I don't want to be the guy to police this. In fact, some of the moms are going to come alongside me or just push me out of the way and help me and the coaches with this. We can't just have the girls wearing the 5-inch inseam shorts that we know are a requirement, and they also need to wear them in a natural, normal way. They don't need to be pulling them up higher. You know, our girls can do some creative things, and I wouldn't say that my daughters are innocent. We know that our daughters can do some creative things to make 5-inch inseam shorts look like they're 3 or 2-inch inseam shorts. And I'm telling you, as much as I don't want to be talking about this is not a comfortable topic in this day and time, unfortunately. This is very serious. We all care about the program, and we're here to compete and win volleyball games. So all of us who've been here for years, some of my daughters have aged out and they're coaching now. We know what a meaningful experience this program is to homeschoolers. I can't overstate that. This program has meant a tremendous amount to my daughters who are homeschooled. The community here, the ability to compete, and all that is in question. I'm not exaggerating. Really, if we lost this gym this season, it would become a real problem for the program. If nothing else, it would become a money issue. The fees that you see now would considerably go up if we had to go somewhere else. So that's all I wanted to say to you about that. And I'll put some of this in writing. The other thing is they want to try hard and make sure this facility is clean for us and that we leave it in the same way that we found it when we came in. And one of the things they told me that I've never heard is they don't want any open containers of food or drink, particularly on these bleachers, because when things spill, it gets on wood and it gets left there. So we might, coaches will have some ideas too. We might need to talk about the containers because we sit on up here, even though they're closed. There's not a lot of space. The girls are serving, the drinks get knocked down. It's usually water, but that's another thing. No open containers over here. And let's talk about what we can do with the other containers so we're not knocking them down. Couple other things. There will be a team store link that I'll send to you as soon as we get it for team store gear. I mean, this is a voluntary thing. If you're interested in the team gear, we just like to provide it so that you can buy it. This shirt that I have on, and the shirt that Pamela and my wife has on, are both in the team store from last year. There'll be some new stuff in it this year, so I'll send that link out to you. When it comes, it's just a short time that you can buy there, maybe 48 hours or a week, so that we can quickly get the team gear in and wear it for the season. It won't be open very long, but I'll send you all that information. The parent player contract. You should have that, and then you should have also information about your team, the coach's contact information. I'm going to turn it over to the coaches soon. And you see the tournament schedule for your team. I really am happy about this tournament schedule this season. One reason is the Gatlin, the homeschool nationals Gatlinburg tournament, as you veterans know, is just a highlight of the year. It's a great tournament. Everybody has a great time there. And then the rest of the tournaments, it's not a big commitment. They're not. The furthest one away, I think, is Winston-Salem, and the other ones are in Raleigh. So I think this is a very good tournament schedule for us to not, have to be out of town a lot and spend a lot of money and make a lot of out of town commitment. So I'm really happy. And I think it's good for our competition too, the tournaments we're going to compete in. So that schedule is there. I mean, the player fees are there. As I said, our gym fees went up a little bit, but as you see in the contract, we're a nonprofit. As I said, we're not here to make money. We're just trying to cover the expenses. That's all we're doing. So our budget is around $24,000 this year, and a big chunk of that is gym fees, tournament fees. Again, the coaches, the way this program was set up was for homeschool moms and dads to coach the team and do it really at no cost. So our coaches who have aged out of the program or like Coach Brian, who never even had a kid in the program. He's just coming here to coach our daughters. If he figured it up, I'm pretty confident I've looked at it before. We're not covering his gas money and all the time that he invests in our players. So we really appreciate all of our coaches, and we're not trying to make money here. So these fees, sometimes to a fault, I'm really trying to keep them low because I know a lot of homeschool families have one income, even though that's often a good income. We're keeping these player fees low. Really, when you compare us to like a club program, Coach Brian coaches, and Joko, we have players from other clubs. The training that you're getting here from our coaches for the cost that you see here, if you've been at this long at all with volleyball, you're not going to get that kind of bang for your buck. I mean, we're trying to keep these fees low, and so they did go up a little bit this year, but I would still say that they're very low. Couple things from the contract before I turn it over to the coaches. Um, Down under playing time, there's a note here at the bottom. Parents should not openly criticize coaches, the director, or the program at home or on social media. If disagreements arise, it should be resolved privately. None of us here are perfect. I'm not going to get everything right, neither are any of the coaches. And I know this is almost a strange idea to our children, the way the dynamics of communication have changed. But if you have an issue, let's talk about it. And I would prefer face to face. I don't. So, when we've had problems at times in the past and people have put videos on social media or they're out somewhere on a forum talking about something one of our coaches said or did and criticizing the program, that's not helpful. If you have issues and you don't like the way things are going, come and talk to me. I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely approachable. I'm always willing to talk. I'm always willing to listen. And if you have a good idea, those who know me realize this. I can admit I'm wrong, and that's a good idea. Maybe we should change course. And our coaches are the same way. So if you have an issue, don't go take it to social media and put videos out there and talk about the program. If you need to leave the program and we can't seem to come to terms, that happens from time to time. And I always try to make those exits as pleasant as they can be. We're not here to fight. If we can't seem to come to terms, then I mean, we will even give refunds within reason. We've done that before, and you could go somewhere else or sit out the rest of the season. But you don't need to criticize, stir up trouble within the program, go on social media and stuff like that. And that we keep our practices open. So when I made that statement about the guidelines here and how if we can't keep them, we'll have to resort to closed practices. I meant for that to not be a positive thing because our practices are open for a reason. I think it's a good thing for the program. The parents can communicate with one another. It builds community here, and you can see what your daughter's doing out on the court. Our some coaches don't like open practices, but our coaches are happy with that, and that's the way we want to keep it. But one part of that for practices and games, and it's here in the contract, is we don't want the parents coaching from the sidelines. Some girls will look to their parents a lot. That's not really what we're trying to foster here. We want the players to have the undivided attention of the coaches. Um, Early on, when my oldest daughters first started playing, I had different things to say to them on the way home from the games, and over the years, I kind of stopped most of that. One reason is because even though I'm the director, they have coaches. Our coaches spend a lot of time. They need the attention of the players, and usually, when a parent is saying something from the sidelines, the coach already knows it. He already sees it. He's already coaching them on it. They don't need the extra distraction to the sidelines. So we want to keep the practice open, but one of the things that we need to do that is we need the parents to let the coaches coach and let the daughters stay out on the floor and pay attention. And then, as I've already indicated, I'm here. When you look at the conflict resolution procedure at the end of the contract, if there are issues that can't be resolved, I'm here trying to balance the interest of the coaches, the parents, the players. I'm looking at all that. Again, I'm not perfect, but I care about everybody, and I'm going to try to be objective and listen. But the best thing for the program is for players to talk to their coaches and resolve an issue before it ever goes any further than that. even before I was the director, when my kids would complain about the coach at home, I never liked them. Some of the most heated volleyball discussions we've ever had in our house is when my kids have complained about their coaches. Sometimes it was a legitimate complaint, but I don't like to hear their complaints about their coaches if they're not willing to go and talk to their coach and confront the issues. So if a player is not willing to talk to the coach or the issue can't be resolved, then a parent can come to me, we can talk, we can all talk, we can sit down with the coach, you can talk to the coach. But in my mind, that's a last resort. It really should never go beyond the coach and the player unless the player tries with the coach and somehow thinks that there's still some injustice, then we can go a little further. But please encourage your daughters, talk to your coach. Coaches are approachable. They have a job to do, but they want to hear from your daughters. All right, the sponsorship form. Pamela's going to talk about that and then we'll turn it over to the coaches.
As you can see on the papers, the fees, if you're looking at that going, oh dear, what do? We have a few options. Lewis mentioned the sponsorship. We have contracts, that we will email everyone. You can print them off at home and you can get however many sponsors that you want. We have this, in the past, we've only had sponsorships. This year, we have two different options. This sponsorship form will be something you take to a company and you will ask them to sponsor your daughter and her program. Everything that you get from these sponsorships goes directly towards your player fee. We do not split it with you. That has been done in the past, but it all goes directly to you. If a company sponsors you for $500, $500 comes off your player fee, and that's $500 you do not have to pay. So there are different options here. There is the sky's the limit with this. If somebody wants to sponsor you, a company, $20, even though the lowest level here is 100, they can sponsor you $20. If they want to sponsor you $1,000, by all means, that's fine too. So there will be another paper here that we'll email out. And again, you can print it off if you want. It's called Jaguars, JCHU Jaguars Volleyball. Who are we? And it gives just a little history on the Jaguars. It has photos of our real players from years past. This is something good that my family has given to the company just so they kind of know who we are and what they're sponsoring and who they're sponsoring. So we will email those out. If you have any questions about those, do not hesitate to ask. I'm mostly here at all games, practices, and the games. This will be before games. There is a cutoff date. On this one, we have July 25th. So go ahead and try to reach out to as many companies as you can if you're interested in this. And then there's also something we're going to start this year, see how it goes. Maybe you've seen these from other sports before. It's a calendar, and we will send this out. You can attach it digitally to any social media, or you can have a print copy. This is mostly friends and family. I guess companies could sponsor you with this if you have friends that have their own business, but this is mostly for friends and family. For example, if somebody sponsors you on July 3rd, they give you $3. If you fill this calendar out and you get all 31 days covered, max donation is $31 for one day. You can take $496 off your player fee, which really adds up with people giving you $7 here, $4 there. So those are two options. We're hoping to do some fundraisers this year. We'll send out, there's a date at the end of July. We're going to try to do a kickoff event. More information on that. We do need volunteers. If organizing an event, little pieces of it is something you're interested in doing, please, because we will not be able to do it if we do not have some people coming together. And that's just something like organizing concessions or, having some people help you. The more volunteers we get, like Lewis said earlier, many hands make light work. We're all volunteers here. We need the help. So I think that was it for sponsors.
So the player fees on the sheets you have do not include uniforms and lodging, but with the sponsorships, you could still get sponsorships that exceed the player fee and cover your lodging and your uniforms if you'd like to. We're working on new uniforms and we're a little bit behind where we wanted to be. But we have a new design for uniforms and we're kind of going back and forth with a sample. I think we're gonna be able to get new uniforms this year. And that's partly why in the tryout registration, we ask for your number, desired jersey number, even though you might already have a jersey. We'll give you more information on those jerseys and size, everybody at upcoming practice and confirm that we're going with the new jerseys. Does anybody have any questions before we turn it over to the coach? Yes, sir.
As far as the wardrobe, are leggings acceptable?
That's a question that I'm willing to ask them. I decided in the meeting I was not going to complicate it. But made our proposal and did not ask them. But I should ask them that question. That's a good question.
That's typically what they wear, so. It's gonna, that,
Yeah, it is, I can tell you, it is okay for the conference games. Even though it's a 5-inch inseam short for the conference loose fitting, you can wear leggings now in the conference and
Okay.
games, but I have not asked fellowship. But now I think I can ask them, and I just didn't want to complicate the initial meeting with a lot of questions.
but as far as all conference games and everything like that goes, outside of here, leggings are acceptable. Like,
That is correct. Yes, for any game that's a conference game or a home game, leggings are acceptable. There are some rare cases, and we would warn you about it, where we've scheduled with Christian schools and they've said, hey, if your girls wear X, we're not gonna host you. So we would warn you in that case, but as of right now, no leggings in the practice gym, but leggings are good for any conference game. Yes, Leo.
So you have all the tournament dates here. Do you guys know approximately how many other games will be scheduled?
Yeah, what we're trying to do this year is shoot for something like 15. At times we've had more than 15 days, particularly for JV. But we're looking in the 12 to 15 range.
Okay. And then, do you know how many other teams are in the conference this year for sure?
They haven't sent any registration yet, but I think we're looking at 7 or 8 teams. Durham, Barnet, Southwick Sabres, they were in Lethia. Greensboro's coming back. Alamance, I think, was on the fence. Wilmington Storm. So I think we're looking at 7 or 8 teams in the conference. And then that also we get those conference games and then we get the state tournament, which has been in Raleigh in recent years against 7 or 8 of our conference games, which should be really good.
Yeah. And then for the tournament in Gatlinburg, do you guys have any idea like around lodging fees, what they might be this year?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked about that. So what we've done in recent years that they can get this homeschool national tournament in Gatlinburg for you new people is we've gotten a huge cabin. I can't think of how many rooms I have. How many bedrooms?
25, but there's 22 master bedrooms and 3 bunk rooms.
Yeah. So it's not mandatory. You can opt out, but 95% of the families for the past 3 or 4 years have stayed in this cabin. Sometimes it's been 2 cabins right next to each other, but basically it's a huge cabin with a master bedroom for every family, with a king bed and privacy, and then bunk rooms for the players. Has some pros and cons, but it's been a great experience overall for the players, and it's kept the lodging expenses down. Actually, the coaches stay in there, we all stay there, and it's cheaper than a hotel, really, when we book that and divide it by the families. So we're still inclined to do that this year, but we want to look at some other options. We're going to do this soon. We might consider being in like a little condo community or apartment thing, sort of like a hotel where we're all together, instead of a hotel if we're not in a big cabin. I'll just say we can talk about it more. But we'll send more information on it. But the biggest issue with the cabin we've had is players all in the bunk rooms together, not wanting to go to sleep, and sometimes it's hurt our play. Frankly, I think we could have done better in the tournament if our players didn't want to go to sleep. There's not a great solution for that. When kids have a sleepover, you can keep telling them to go to sleep, but either when the lights out or whatever measures you take, they can still find creative way not to sleep. So that's the problem with the cabin, but for every other reason, it's a very good experience. So we're looking at those options.
Do you have an estimated cost on jersey fees?
The jerseys are still going to be $42 each, and we have 2 jerseys, so the jerseys are going to be $84. Even it'll be a new design, so if you have a jersey, you'll have to buy new ones. That's the issue there, but they're still the same price. And we're gonna send more information on shorts. Pamela will send some links of shorts that we have used, because now you might need more of them. You know, maybe you could get away with one pair in the past, but we need them for the practices now too. And there will be some practice shirts, not jerseys, but jersey-like material in the team store. I'm not gonna make them mandatory this year, but they'll be there for everybody to buy, and I would encourage you to buy. But you don't have to buy the practice shirts, as long as the shorts are compliant with practice. That's all we want. Yes,
You're gonna put the companies on the back of the t-shirts.
on the sponsor shirts. Yes. Yeah, so part of the sponsorship form that you'll see when we email it to you is if someone sponsors you, then their company logo, if they sponsor you for a certain amount, can go on our sponsor shirts. Does anybody here have a sponsor shirt on? Kelsey does. So this was our sponsor shirt from last year, and all the logos are on the back. So we'll do that same thing this year. So it's kind of, again, you don't even have to buy the sponsor shirts. We don't want you to have to buy too much apparel, but there will be a team store. It's optional, and there'll be sponsor shirts available once the sponsorship program closes in August.
They're also on the website.
Yes, and all the company logos go on our website. So this year, I'm excited to have Leah and Kate back with us to coach the middle school team, and Brian is back, and he's going to coach 2 teams. I think that'll give our high school program a lot of continuity, from JV to varsity, and the girls will kind of be ready for the same level of play between JV and varsity. So we're excited about the coaching staff this year. Looking forward to a great season. Leah's going to come now, say a few words with Brian will, and we'll be finished. This new dress code is going to apply to the coaches team.
Don't worry, guys. The jersey shorts are pretty much these. They're very similar. And on that note, you guys can't just like we said, wear the jersey shorts to practice, so we'll get them earlier. So I do have notes because if you guys listen and talk about them, it would be all over the place. My name's Leah Fisher. This is Kate Fisher. We are sisters, if you don't know us. And we're the middle school coaches. So I wanted to start out. Usually I would send an email out when the season starts, just so that you guys can get to know me a little bit. But this is the first year we're doing the meeting all together. So I'm just going to introduce myself here. So I started playing for the Jaguars when I was about 14. My family moved to Johnston County. I played one season. As soon as I played, all of my sisters quickly followed. There's a lot of us here. And I played all throughout high school. The Jaguars for me was an amazing experience. Obviously, I'm still here. It's been like 8 years now. And I made amazing friends, some of the best experiences of my life. One of the girls I played with, I was just the maid of honor in her wedding last year. I've worked jobs with multiple of them, still work with a lot of them today. I'm so close with a lot of them. So truly, this is a really, really special place. You will make some of your best friends here, hopefully. And for me, this genuinely was such a good outlet socially, and I just truly loved it. So as soon as I graduated, I knew I wanted to stick around. So I started coaching. I coached as an assistant for my first year, and then I coached 3 head coaches, and I'm entering my 5th year as a coach this year. I love the middle school level. I think it's so fun. I truly love watching the development that they have at that, entering into the sport. It's crazy. It's so fun to see. I get to watch them start, and I get to watch them go off to JV. I have a lot of players that I coached on the JV team now. 1 or 2, I think, are on varsity this year as well. Very exciting. So proud of all of the girls. And anyway, yeah, for Kate, she also started, like I said, but pretty much after I did, played all the way through. As soon as she finished playing, I was like, just so you know, you don't really have a choice. You are going to be my assistant. And luckily, she wanted to be. So it worked out perfectly. So usually what I like to do in the coaches player meeting, and this year I get to talk to the parents as well, is kind of just outline the contract. But from my standpoint, what I'm expecting as a coach. So to start out with practice, try to show up as much as you can. Your attendance does matter. But obviously, I understand that life happens. You're not going to be able to be at genuinely everything all the time. Do your best to be there as often as you can. We are pouring into you. As much as you're there, you're giving us extra opportunities to prepare, especially before games and during games. So show up as often as you can. Be focused while you are there. Be intent. Because the thing is, we're here. We're helping you. We're going to try to give you all the tools that you need to be a strong player. But we can only help you as much as you're going to let us. So effort and focus is really, really important for me and Kate, especially effort. Especially at the middle school level, what we really need from you is the effort, is the drive, because we're going to give you everything else. A lot of players are newer or only played 1 or 2 seasons. So stay focused. Another thing is sportsmanship. I'm very, very big on this. How you treat your teammates, how you treat the other team is very, very important to me. So what that looks like is being a good supportive teammate, treating the other team, and knowing how to lose gracefully. Obviously, we are a competitive program. Of course, we want to win, right? I mean, we go into a game, we want to win, but knowing how to lose with grace and still be kind to your teammates while that is happening is very important. On the topic of playing time is not guaranteed in our program. We are a competitive program. However, specifically at the middle school level, we know that a lot of you guys are newer, so I'm not saying that to scare you. As much work as you're willing to put in, we're going to do our absolute best to get you to that point, right? Also, on the note of playing time, skill is not the only factor with that. I always preface this for my team. I personally am not going to play attitude. So I know that everybody has a bad day, right? Sometimes it's going to happen. I'm going to give you grace. But if that becomes a habit, if I notice consistently that you're sassing me, Kate, you're being rude to the other team, you're being rude to your teammates, that's when it becomes a habit. You can't lose playing time off of that. So I always just go into that a little bit because I don't want people to think that the playing time all has to do with skill. You can lose playing time off of your attitude, off of your lack of effort, and those sorts of things. To end off just on the contract notes, Coach Kate and I are always here for you guys to talk to. All the players. I want you guys to know that whenever you have anything, any concern, even if you're just really tired, really burnt out, if you're having a good thing happen, a bad thing happen, always talk to us. We're always here. We want to know where you are at and we want to be helpful. So any concerns you have, you can always talk about position, playing time, any of that. We really, really try to be super open. We always want you guys to feel like you can approach us in any situation. And then I just want to end out by saying we're so excited for this team. We were really, really impressed with the tryout. The amount of effort and drive that we can see on this team is so high. Truly, every girl on that court, you can see their passion and their drive for it. So we know that this team is going far places and we're very excited. See you guys Monday.
Is it on? Hello. All right. For those who don't know me, I'm Coach Brian. I'll give a brief summary of how I got here. I've coached club volleyball for 10 years. I had a parent in the program. I asked if Lewis could come and observe one of our practices last year. He showed up and then offered me a position here. Won't say how many times it was offered before I decided to accept it. But I'm here and I'm back. And as I said, the last time I was in front of a group of you at our end of the year ceremony, the reason I'm back is because of the girls. The girls, bar none, is the reason. I came in and I said I want to be a part of building something. I was the JV coach last year, and now obviously I'm taking both positions as Lewis mentioned, with Mike's assistance and probably some other assistants along the way. Obviously, Coach Mike is my assistant on varsity and probably a good portion of the JV season as well. I won't get into too much about team specifics because I'm planning to meet with girls after this to talk with the girls. But again, I came from the club volleyball world, and I believe in, if you've been in here for my practices, we run really fast pace. I'm loud, but I am approachable. but I believe in coaching the things that happen all the time in volleyball. A lot of people like big kills and all those types of things, but there's 4 things that happen in every volleyball game. That's serving, serve, receive, defense, and out of system. And my teams practice that all the time, because it happens all the time. Those other things don't happen all the time, but those things happen all the time. So we will work on that in every single practice, some facet. And I will say, make a blanket statement for both of my teams. It is my job and his job to create a culture for the team. It is not my job to placate to any one individual. It is their job to come along as part of a team and be a part of something bigger than their individual selves. And that's what we're about. I'm really excited. I've already built. I spend way too much time away from here on volleyball. I mean, I'm just. I had a 2-week break. I've been at it for I think 19 or 20 months straight with 2-week break between club and school, and then back club, and then now back school again. And sometimes 4 and 5 times a week in a gym with volleyball. So I had girls that played, but they're long gone from it now, and I enjoy the sport. And the main thing is I enjoy, like I said, seeing girls or young people come together and accomplish something bigger than themselves as an individual. And I'm all about that, and I'm very competitive. Obviously, very competitive. I will make another thing that I want to say is after our first tournament last year, Lewis came to me and said, "Hey, we're not really sure. It's kind of hard for some of the people in the stands to follow along because we play so fast." And that's not going to change. For those of you who might have complained about it or whatever, that's not going to change. It is my style to go really fast. We don't celebrate every point, and we're not going to. There is a time and a place to celebrate against teams that you play against that you should beat. I would expect us to understand that and to know when to step on the gas and go. But we don't celebrate every single point. We celebrate as a team in time, but we do not celebrate every single ace and all those kind of things. We want to go fast. It is my job and his job to put our girls in a position to succeed on the court. If they didn't keep the score, it'd be a different story. But they keep the score. As Coach Leah said, it's about competition. If I'm going to be here and spend the amount of hours I am, they're going to be here and spend the amount of time that they should be here. Then when you want to talk about fair and all those types of things, we owe it to the team. And I owe it to the team. He owes to the team. They owe it to the team to put the best product on the floor and give them the best opportunity to win. Sometimes it's not about just the girls. There are things that can be done within the realm of what's allowable in the sport. And we're going to go that route. But I will put, I use group me for my teams. And I like to have a parent, a female parent in the group with the girls. And that's how I communicate with my girls. It is their job. It is their job to let me know if they're not going to be somewhere as early as possible. If you already know you got a vacation scheduled, I'll be asking, hey, let me know what you know about already up front, because I build my practice plans based on everybody being there and everybody having a job. And so it is the girl's job to communicate to me. And that's the way it goes. Lewis covered a lot of things that I was probably going to cover. The big thing that he covered was, for me, really, it's about the girls being approaching us. I will not ever discuss playing time with a parent. I just won't. I promise you, I may not always get it right, but I am going to do what I feel is absolutely necessary to put the best team on the floor. And we're going to go with that. But I won't ever discuss it with a parent. I'll discuss it with a girl, and that's where it'll stop for me. And if ever somebody has a problem with that, and again, this is not a damning and condemning kind of speech, but I just want to put that out there up front, and so everybody knows where we stand with this. And if you don't feel like you're being heard, then that's what he's in there for. Is my job to coach, and hopefully to put W's on the board, and to raise some healthy and happy young women who can contribute to society. Because a lot of things that we teach are beyond volleyball. They are, and I really feel that way. And I'm passionate about it, and it'll show. But I don't expect anybody else to meet my intensity when we get out there. But I promise you, I will show up. One other thing that I will say before I go is that if there's any concern about me coaching both teams and you're worried that one team is going to get slighted, I promise you they won't. The only person who's going to get slighted will be me at the end of the day, because I will give them everything I've got. for those 4 hours, twice a week, and beyond. I promise you that it doesn't, whenever I walk out this door, it doesn't end for me. Like I said, I've already built rotations with the anticipation of what I think, and that was weeks ago. Serve receive rotations, the plays that we're running, all those type of things for both teams, And that's not but I'm just telling you, that's how much I'm ready to get started and to go. And so I hope the girls are excited, and I hope they're ready to go as well, because we're going to hit the ground Monday, and it's not going to be an ease into it. We're going to go, and we're going to go. The last thing I'll say is that everything that's needed for us to succeed, and I'm talking strictly volleyball, can't happen those 2 hours in here. And I understand that volleyball is not everybody's life. I understand it, and I get it. But there are some things that can take place outside of these walls. And if we're talking 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the main thing is footwork. No matter what position you play, girls, I'm talking to you parents, I'm talking to you for your dog. I've been around it for a long time. And the most important thing is footwork. It's the boring thing that nobody wants to do, that nobody wants to talk about. But if you can take 3 steps and move 15 feet versus 7 steps and move 5 feet, we need to do that. And it won't happen in here. It is our job to take the group of girls that we have and make them the best team. Now, by proxy, the girls are going to get better. They are going to get better. But this is not going to be a skills and drills clinic. It's going to be a team practice, and we will pull girls aside and say, hey, we're noticing we got to work on this. We got to really work on that. But there's going to be things that they're going to have to work on outside of here to achieve the goal that we're going to set for them, and then hopefully that they set for themselves. So if they've ever got a question about that, there's so many resources out there that I can point you in any direction to help you. And other than that, I was told one thing at the beginning of last year in a coach's meeting, and that was that we hate Storm. And our JV team, we got them once, they got us. But again, this year, I'm hoping for more than that one victory, and it being for both teams, JV and varsity. I'm sure they'll take care of business on their end as well. Has anybody got any question about anything? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. That will be the case for the entire season. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, there could be,
Unless-
once we get the schedule and team snap, there could be a case where we have a game on a Thursday, so we do practice on Tuesday or something. It's very rare. Monday and Thursday is consistent.
Once the game season starts, if we have a game Thursday, it's usually a busier week and we just have one practice that week. So don't think that Tuesday is gonna be a normal, like, oh, all of a sudden we have these random practices popping up. Most likely, if we cancel Thursday for a game, that's just in place of the game. I mean, in place of the practice.
I'm excited for the season to start. This will be my 5th year with the Jaguar program. I love this program. My daughter grew up in it. Last year, I got the opportunity to coach as well, and it came along this year as well. And I'm very excited to see what these girls can do. Just get ready to work on Monday. Be ready to work.
Any other questions? Again, whenever we're done here, if we can just, the parent, if you want to step over, that's fine, but I'd like the girls from both teams that are here, because I want to discuss just a few things that we need to cover before we get started. Other than that, thank you.
Just a couple more things. I don't know that I answered Emilio's question about gap number. I think in recent years, we've been somewhere between 3 and 350 for that big cabin. And if we're gonna go with the cabin again, we probably will just go with that one. That was 3 nights, 350. So, really good accommodation for a lot less than we felt.
Do you know if there's a decision going to be made of what day about that, like that one all-inclusive cabin, or if it's going to be a community?
No, we need to look at size. In fact, I was gonna talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Over.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of seems like you might be volunteering.
I just know that it can book out fast, right?
True.
And then if we're scrambling to try to find a place, it's going to be very difficult to get out.
True.
So
The thing with that cabin is if we're gonna go that route, I like to wait until like the holiday week, like July 4th, they probably will put out a holiday sale. And then you get But the other thing about the cabin is I would quickly, if you're, please be thinking about whether or not you want to stay in the cabin with the team. There's a small pool, not really that big, so you're not gonna go swimming or anything, but you know, the girls like to soak and enjoy and just sit back and relax a little bit in the water. There's, in the cabin we stayed in the last 2 years has, an arcade. Gets loud, but we shut it off at night at a certain time. But just some fun things. There's a movie theater. The girls sometimes, do hot tubs. There's a lot of fun. So the girls just have it is huge team bonding right there.
And there's a pizza place you can walk to, it's just right.
Yeah, there's a pizza place down the hill. You can walk right there. It's a little convenience store type thing. So it's a great, great experience. But be thinking about if you will want to buy into the cabin, because if you do and we book it, then basically we pay, I don't think it's quite half, but we pay like $1,500 almost immediately. So we'll want to either, you know, take a little bit up front and then take a little bit more when we get closer to it. So
Pamela, is it just 3 nights this year or 4? Because I've seen the 22nd as the start date and I've seen the 20th as the start
It
date.
is, I mean, I need to confirm because now it's under new leadership, but they did tell me that it is only 3 for sure, but they were trying to do some stuff. Thanks. Trying to think when, they were trying to do some additional stuff that's not required, just for volleyball, it's still just 3 nights. But I'll confirm that.
so games play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay.
Yeah, I meant to say more about Gatlinburg. We'll take a hard look at the cabin situation. The other thing we do in that cabin, and again, it's not required, but for those who go there, they don't just save money on the lodging, but we have a meal plan. Christina has handled that meal plan, and all your meals are covered for a very low price. There's a huge kitchen in there. It's a really good experience, but,
Shake his head. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
she's working that. Oh, she's not here tonight. Yes. Well, I thought you meant she was working when we go to Gatlinburg. That's not acceptable. When we're done, Coach Mike reminded me, listen, please fold your chair up and put your chair on the wall. Let me just say again, I really appreciate our coaches. I say this at the banquet. I think they have the hard work. I think, while we didn't sit around and say, well, we just want a really thin coaching staff, we want to get one coach, 2 teams. That wasn't the goal. That's the way this ended up, and I'm really happy about it. I think it's going to be good for the program. But I think we have 2 strong head coaches for our program, and we have 2 strong assistant coaches. I appreciate what the assistants do as well. Mike does a lot of things even behind the scenes. He's been around a long time and learned a lot about the sport. We appreciate everything he does, and Kate is helping lead a lot. So we have a lot of good things going here. Brian told me when I met us, he said nobody's going to outwork him. That's one of those things that stuck with me. So I already know that he's not going to short his routine if I know him well. I know that. Brian told me a story once about a coach too that was kind of a tough coach that people maybe they were rubbed the wrong way when they watched his coaching and they didn't like him. He told me the story at the restaurant. After he told it to me, I said, that's what I should say to people about you. He said somebody told him one time about the coach because he also wasn't sure about that coach. They said, have you ever talked to him? So I told Brian I was going to say that about him to people. Have you ever talked to him? You really can't judge Brian by just what you see on the sidelines. If you can imagine a high level professional coach on the sidelines throwing a clipboard or something like that, he doesn't do that. And sometimes if you're watching Brian and you don't know him, you will undoubtedly have a different perception of him than what the reality is. He has a great heart. He's like being out. I'm a grown man, but I cry. Sometimes we're watching something and I cry more than the females in my family. I don't feel so good about that. Brian is an emotional guy with a big heart.
That's enough. That's that's enough.
Don't judge him if you never talked to him. All right, any more questions or anything? Yes, sir.
Back up to the cabin. So I got more kids. Probably nowhere for them to stay. Does that automatically put us out if there's other?
No.
I happen to other people too, where
Yeah,
And we've had people rent 2 rooms. I mean, it's double the cost, so you have to determine like what you want to do. But, yeah, I don't, cause you're 6 like us, right? You're 6. So if you know, if you wanna bring an air mattress and pop it in the floor for a youngest one and then stick the older ones in a second room, it's totally up to you. So it is definitely,
You know how many rooms I need.
exactly.
Yeah. some families do get two, but like for us, we have the 2 boys and we still just get 1 room with a big king bed and then to see our players are in different.
Yeah.
So, it's a question of can you fit all of your family that's not your players in two. Yeah, but you can get 2 rooms. Some families do.
And you are welcome to bring an air mattress and stick it in
Okay.
the corner if you want.
Alright,
The rooms are, because it's a king bed, the rooms aren't huge, so there's not a ton of extra space, but there is a little bit of space around each bed, so if a twin air mattress shoved in there and that's something you want to do, by all means. I'm not,
Okay.
I won't say anything.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we'll send the information on this pretty soon about the homeschool conference guidelines, Gatlinburg, so that we can prepare for that. And again, that tournament is very important. So definitely mark that date. We don't want to miss that. We don't want your daughter to miss it. Anything else? I think that's pretty good. We stayed around an hour.
So we get out of here at a decent hour, because I know I see people putting on volleyball stuff, so. If I can have a couple of the dads, once the chairs are against the wall, each, 2 rows will hold about 7 chairs. If y'all can help me get it on that rack, there'll probably be about 10 left over. I appreciate it.
You want to?
Yeah.
One more thing about seniors.
Before we dismiss, please, after you put your chair, if you have a senior parent, let's just go over on those bleachers. I'm sorry, you will be the parent. If you have a daughter that is a senior this year, bedtime guys. If you have a daughter that's a senior this year, and please just meet over there after you put your chair away. That would be super helpful.
Let's close in a word of prayer and then we'll stop up there.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity, Lord, to speak in front of this parents and the players. Lord, thank you for each and every one that came. Lord, thank you for this Jaguar program, Lord. We want to make it the best. We want to honor you with it. Lord, each and everything we do and say. Lord, thank you so much for loving us, Lord. Take us home safely, Lord. Keep the girls safe this year playing. Let us just have a great time. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Yeah.